How come all the good frames are at the bottom of the list? Valkyria, Vauban, Volt, Wisp, Wukong, Saku, Zephyr, and now Varuna too, because they have kind of taken a first attempt at fixing her, but she's not that bad of a Warframe. She was lackluster to start with, but they have taken an attempt to fix her this week, which is kind of great. What isn't is how to get her. She is obviously in the marketplace for 325 platinum. With her parts dropping on conjunction survival missions on Lua, it does mean that you can actually get a hold of the parts fairly easily. You can also get a resource while doing these called Lua Thraxplasms. You can then take that Lua Thraxplasm if you want, if you can't get the parts there, and you can actually buy them once you have completed the New War and the Angels of Zaramon quests, and you can buy the parts using Lua Thraxplasm. While farming the parts, you also get, well, her signature axe, or her signature sniper rifle, or the parts to build them, or her parts. But if you don't, and there's one part you need, you don't have to farm for it, you can come here and pick it up, and that's where the problems kind of start. You need to have completed everything to get here, and to build her, because sadly, her chassis needs Void Gel, which you can only get from the Zaramon. So does her systems. Sorry Frost, I know since Veilbreaker I've been wearing you because of the crystals and the fact I know I've got 2 with all of them in, but it is time to actually equip Varuna, who comes with a D polarity, a V polarity, and in the aura, I don't know why they're still doing this, and that aura isn't just a universal one, but sadly, in the auras, it is also AD, which basically limits you to but a handful of actual auras here. That is literally it, because we've got V on one side, Dash on the other, so EMP, Infested Impedance, Physique. Yeah, the only one that's really worth kind of using is Physique, that increases 90% of their base health. That right there will be the first thing that I former off Varuna. I really regret not running efficiency, but that is the whole point of having primed flow in here, and this is by far not an amazing build because I am using 4 of the Augur secret mods. That would basically be duration, shield capacity, strength, and range, which strangely enough 219% strength, 130 range, 179 duration because prime continuity is in there, but 1,500 health. Why is this important to her? Well, let's go have some fun. First ability is literally really easy. It makes her invisible, and what you have to remember is it will, for a short period of time after a melee attack lands, melee attack have increased crit chance and status chance, which can also, and inflicts bleeding. Melee kills on an enemy during this time extends the melee buff. I'm doing this way so you can see the difference as to her standard setups to the modded one, which would be why the numbers are green to the right. More importantly, the second ability, Fangs of Rask, tears into enemies. 5 random status effects are applied at 10 stacks each to an enemy. On the target's death, however, it does spread to nearby enemies. That's where the range comes into it. So you quite literally look at an enemy and go, you now have 5 elemental combos on you, and when you die, that affects everybody within a 39 meter range. Obviously they're just, no wait, what? Well, dearest Warframe, I don't quite think this works as it's supposed to, because that's within the 39 meter range. It's 9.1 meters. I was going to say that made no sense because it's supposed to be within a short range and it doesn't last long either. But this is great for crowd control because, yeah, I mean, oops, pops to mind. Again, level 190 enemies, and they succumb to what is basically status damage. Her passive depends upon which wolf you actually use. So at the beginning of this, for her first ability, if you hold it, you swap to her first passive. I mean, literally, it says what it is. Increased parkour velocity for the first one. Second one is status effect resistance. Does need to be tweaked, doesn't work quite as well as it would. Third one is increased heavy attack efficiency. And fourth one would be an extra life. So when you die, you don't die. Instead, this floating head around us here dies instead. They are her passives and can be changed for free at any time during the game. But extra life, the fourth one, can only be used once every minute. You will notice the bottom right, there is a timer for it, and that, until it counts back down to 0, cannot be recast. So that's not why she is invincible, but have to throw her passives in here somewhere. And the main reason I put off making this video when she first came out, and I thought I'd give it a week and then a couple of days just in case they change her a bit more, comes down to Ulfrin's Descent. This ability allows you to do 5 brutal charges that lock onto enemies, and it was, best way to put it, lackluster. But enemies that are inflicted by status effect, well, it increases the damage, which obviously means mixing it with her other abilities, works so well. Lethal attacks doubles the damage of the remaining charges as well. But what they did is they changed it on Wednesday, and they've added 20% crit chance and a 1.5 times crit damage multiplier. Every kill increases the crit chance by 5%, which means it will kind of max at 20% on top of that, so we're talking about 40% crit chance. And the crit multiplier will also increase with each kill by 0.5, which, to be fair, could have been that little bit stronger, but we're talking about taking, what would that be? 4.5 times crit multiplier once for every kills. Sadly, you can only actually get 4 kills, so really it's like 4 times crit multiplier, which is where the shame comes in. It's not even mentioned here about the crit multiplier, but they did change this, and she is so much better for it. Until they changed her fourth ability was, I really don't want to use the word lackluster, but let's be honest, it lacked that little bit of everything. It was just ruining her. She's way better now, but not as good as she could possibly be. Hopefully there's a second pass that makes the fourth ability, literally just those 5 attacks, extend with duration, and if you get a 6th or 7th, by the time it increases and it stacks up with the 5% extra crit you get every time for every kill, it has to be every kill increases it, and also the crit damage multiplier as well, then she will be amazing. It's not affected by duration at all, kind of, sadly, even though it says it is, which is just weird. As you can see, duration at the bottom, have taken it from 4 to 7.16, so it's almost doubled, but it's still only 5 brutal attacks. Is she worth massive farm? Well, that's where the whole new situation with, you can't just get her from the missions, you can actually buy her in the in-game market, obviously, but you can go to the Zaramon and buy her parts there using the Lua Thraxplasm that makes her even easier to get a hold of than farming all of her parts, making her a frame that is easy enough to actually get. And using her, you kind of have to use all of her abilities pretty much constantly. You keep the third ability on the go, use the second one to spread the status, first one to move quickly from point A to point B, or just to run through crowds of enemies because you're invisible, and the fourth ability to take out enemies, which you could before. I cannot stress it, that change made her so much better than she was before. She was once Varuna the Invincible, that couldn't kill anything with her fourth ability. She is now Varuna the Invincible, that can actually kill something with her fourth ability. Either way, she still has the ability to be invincible once you mix her third ability with her second ability and a melee weapon. She becomes just straight up unkillable in certain circumstances. Using all caps just to make sure this actually works, and just like that, Varuna, you are Helminth food. And with that, we'll leave this off here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.